let's talk about making the unspoken spoken. What does that mean? What does making the unspoken spoken?
Here at the studio, we went through a thing where we felt like we want to celebrate everybody's accomplishments, but for the longest time it was just me and you.
Yeah.
You know, and so we kind of did our celebration, but we didn't make a big deal out of it. We were like, oh, we had a great month. Oh, we're going to celebrate. And we just kind of did it as a couple. Now we have more employees in the studio, and there for a while we thought celebrating, even though we didn't really do it with each other when it was just the two of us, we felt like we needed to have a big party each and every time we, wanted to celebrate. But in actuality, when it came down to it, people just want to be acknowledged for their successes. Or if we did a project together as a team, the celebration is just saying, hey, we did a great job. It doesn't have to be something monetary all the time. It doesn't mean people don't want to be given a gift or something for their successes, but they just want to be acknowledged. And that's something that we are learning is really important. Celebrating the little accomplishments that turn into big accomplishments.
Yes, and that's looking at celebrating and looking at the unspoken celebration and making that spoken. We can even talk about our culture here at the studio. Our culture, especially with our employees, our team members, and our clients, we are very much family oriented all around. Because, one thing that we do as a team once a month, we have what we call a potluck lunch. Everyone brings something to the table, not only in physical food, but even every day, someone brings something different to the table. That's what makes us a unique team and a unique place. And we just need to make that spoken. When a new team member comes in, we need to make sure we communicate
that we like each other, that we like hanging out with each other. Some people's not comfortable with that, and that's something that we need to speak out loud that, hey, with our culture, right? We like to hang out with each other. We like to joke around with each other, but we also like to work with each other too. We want to see something come to fruition and have success with it. So we work hard with each other and for each other to make sure all of that happens. And that's something when onboarding somebody new, they need to understand. And if they can fit into that culture, that's awesome. If they can't, that's okay. Not everybody works in that kind of environment, but to protect our culture here, we need to speak it, right?
Absolutely. Well, and the same with families that come in. We know they love each other.
Yeah.
And that love is unspoken.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes. But when we are photographing that family and we're in the camera room, that is my goal in a portrait, to photograph them and do a wall portrait in such a way that it visually speaks the love of that family, or it visually speaks that child. If we're photographing a child or children, the portrait speaks that love between brother and sister, siblings, or just an individual child, that it's visually captured and put on the wall for the clients to enjoy for the rest of their life. And that's just, that's a way of visually communicating unspoken feelings.
Absolutely. Because for some families, it's easy. We had a new family come in this past week, and they had a brand new little girl, and oh my goodness, it was so easy for them to just snuggle with their baby girl, and we didn't have to do anything. You could see it oozing out of them that they adored this little girl, and most parents do. But some, it's uncomfortable for them to visually show it, so we got to get them relaxed in the camera room enough to show compassion with each other and love on each other. But this couple was just amazing, and it was easy during the entire session because you could see it. So that's what came out in their portraits in the end, was how much they adored their baby girl. But on the flip side, we also had another family that came in, just as an example, and this was a portrait for grandmother. She wanted this portrait done, and it was important to her. And so she was having a hard time getting her kids and grandkids to come in and do this. And she told us situations, there's some friction in the family and things like that. And she was warning us what to expect during the portrait session. So they came in and they were hilarious with each other. But you could tell that there was friction. But you know what? They came in for their Meemaw. That's what they called her. And they showed how much they loved each other for a short amount of time. And they're going to see this portrait on their grandmother's wall, and it's going to take them through. And in the end, they're going to say, I took the time to do this for Meemaw, and it means a lot to me too.
Yeah.
And that's that unspoken love that we was able to pull out of them in a portrait session.
So let's carry that, making something unspoken, speaking it, where it be visually in a portrait or actually spoken in our family. How do we do that?
I think anytime we can celebrate with our kids are always finding ways to celebrate. I think it's acknowledging, their strengths and celebrating and loving on them when they do accomplish things that are big to them, or acknowledging that they did a great job when they weren't looking for that celebration. If they've cleaned their room on their own, we need to go, yay, because it doesn't happen very often. And it makes them feel good to be able to do it again.
And our kids are 13 and 15. And, when our 15-year-old, he's in high school. And so, just like any teenager, he has moments of struggle with responsibility of letting us know when he has an event that he has to be at. And so that unspoken frustration, because it is frustration for us at times, so we need to speak that, but not in frustration, but maybe in correction and saying, okay, great, you didn't get this to me in time. How can we help you prepare for the next time that you have this coming up?
Right. So it's not a frustrating moment. And we're all happy and excited to do it instead of going, oh my goodness, how in the world are we going to get this accomplished? Yeah. Because it was told to us at the last minute.
And just like our daughter yesterday, she auditioned for a singing. She's going to be singing. She auditioned for it. And she got it. She's one of 5 that got this audition for this musical. So we were genuinely excited, and we verbalized, and we showed it by
hugging her,
giving her a hug.
Yeah.
So, I think that is so important for us to speak our unspoken feelings. Yep. Always in a healthy, positive way.
Absolutely.
Now, if you have thoughts and feelings and frustration that is unhealthy and that is not good, come up with a way to communicate that, but not while you're angry or frustrated.
Yeah.
That always goes a long ways.
Absolutely.
Do you have any other thoughts?
I think another unspoken thing is, I think of our 15-year-old. Most 15-year-olds are starting to kind of separate from their parents. They want to be in their rooms all the time. And granted, Philip is that way, at times. But he also still enjoys being with his mom and dad. Even last night, he was just crawling into our bed. He'd hate for me to be saying this, but he was crawling into our bed and just hanging out with us. And he even said, I love hanging out with my mom and dad. Makes this mama's heart happy. At times it's okay, I'm ready to go to bed. Yeah. Why aren't you going upstairs and going to bed? But in those moments, we're not going to have that very long. Yeah, and we need to eat it up as much as we can, because one day he's going to be not at all doing that. So taking those moments to slow down and saying, okay, it's okay, you can crawl in my bed.
Yes. And I think that's the biggest part, is taking those moments to slow down.
Yeah.
And taking the time to take those unspoken feelings and emotions and speak them in a loving, positive way to someone. And so that way they know how you feel.
Yeah.
And not only do they see it, but they hear it. Yeah. And make the unspoken spoken, not only personally in our family, but here at the studio. That's so important. And that's one thing that, back when it was just you and I, it was no big deal. But
I don't know if it was no big deal. I just think it was easier because we could read each other. And we can read each other so much better since we're husband and wife. But when other people comes into the picture, they can't read our minds.
Yeah, and we have to be a little bit more
expressive with that.
And not only that, aware.
Yeah.
We have to be very aware of that. So this was great.
I loved it.
Great conversation.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.